Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the Pandas tutorial series. Here we are going to study about the how to load CSV files and other files using Pandas. So to read CSV files, we have a function called read CSV in Pandas, where we have to pass the file path inside this function, and it will read the file and automatically convert it into a Pandas data frame. So if the file has separator other than comma, then we can specify it using separator parameter. So let's say the values are separated by this symbol, then we can specify here using this separator parameter. By default, it will consider the separator parameter as comma because the format is by default comma separated file. Then if you want to read specific column or specific number of rows, that you can also do easily. So for example, if you want to read column 1 and column 2, so you can specify the column names here inside this list and pass it inside this function using this use calls parameters, and the pandas will read from the file those columns only. So if you want to read specific number of rows, then that you can also do easily using n rows parameter. Here you can define the number of rows you want to read from the file. So here let's say we want to read first 100 rows, then you can pass this n rows equal to 100, and it will automatically read the first 100 rows from the file. And dealing with missing values, so if the file has missing values which are indicated by like NA or missing or some other kind of name, then you can specify those names inside this NA values list, and it will automatically read the file and consider these specific values as missing values or non values, and it will replace those values with non value. If you want to set index column from the data file itself, you can do that using index column parameter. So if you pass any column to this index column, then those that column will be considered as the index of the data frame. Now coming to the loading Excel file. So similarly, you can read Excel file using read Excel function here. And if the Excel file has multiple sheet, then if you want to read a particular sheet from the file, then you can specify the sheet name of the uh, from the file inside this function. By default, it will read the first sheet if you do not specify the sheet name. And read multiple sheet. So if you want to read multiple sheet, you can pass the list of sheet names inside this function. It will read those multiple sheets. And if we want to handle missing values, similarly to the read CSV file, you can also pass the NA values parameter. Next comes to the JSON files. So loading JSON file is similar. pd.read JSON function and file path name you can pass, and it will read the file. And you can also use SQL file to read if using pandas. So first you have to create a database or connection. Let's say we are creating a engine, you can create engine SQLite or a database. So here you are creating a connection to the database. Then you can use pd.read function. First you have to pass the query. So let's say we want to select all the row, all the values like column from the table. So you select star from the table. So now what it will do is that it will pass this query inside this database, and it will uh, save those output of the query into a data frame called df. So like this you can read the SQL database using pandas. So like this you can load other types of files like HTML files, Parquet files, HDF files. So for those, all the uh, utilities and all the functionalities are similar to read CSV function. Now coming to the loading of large data set. So if you want to load a large data set, you cannot load it at a single time because it may crash your memory, or it will show you out of memory error. So instead of reading the file at a single time, you can define chunk size of the file, and the file will be loaded in chunks so that the memory overload doesn't occur. So here you can see that here, if you want to define chunk size, you can define the chunk size. So those number of rows will be selected each time to process the dataset instead of the whole dataset. And using custom file loaders, so you can define custom file loaders for unique format. So here you can define a function custom loader and file path. Here you can write your custom loading function here. Then you can return it as a data frame. And for combining data from multiple files, you can use uh, this functionality from using global library. So files, it will read all the paths of the CSV file present in a folder, and you can use pd.concat function. Inside it, you can call the pd.readcsv file for f in files. So this will create a list of file names, and for each file name it will read the CSV file and it will concat it in a single file. So finally it will give a single file combining all the CSV file present in the folder. So if there are errors in the file, then you can also handle that using error bad lines equal to false. So if you have any kind of errors inside the dataset, if you uh, keep it error bad lines equal to false, it will not it will ignore that error and it will read the file. Now let's us go through an example. We are loading the pandas library here. After that, you can connect your Google Drive to your Google Colab environment using this code. Then it will load the drive for you inside the Google Colab environment. Now you can read any file in your drive. Let's say I'm reading this housing.csv file. So now I am passing this path of that file inside the read.csv function, and if you run it, it will read the file, and you can see the first 5 rows using the df.head functionality. So if you want to see last 5 rows, you can use df.tail function. If you want to describe the basic statistics of the file inside the data frame, you can use the describe function. It will show you all the description, all the statistics for the numerical columns. If you want to know the basic information and then how many values are present and what are the data types of different columns, you can use df.info function. It will show you all the column names, how many values, non-null values are present, and what is the data type of each column inside the data frame, and what is the memory uses of the data frame. Similarly, you can use df.shape function to check the shape, df.column to check the number of name of the columns. Now coming to the Excel file. So here we are reading Excel file using read Excel function. So if you run the head, it will show you the first few columns of the sheet 1 present in the this Excel file. If you want to read another sheet, then you have to specify that sheet name. So here in this file we have two sheets, sheet 1 and sheet 2. So if you want to read the sheet 2, then you can specify the name here and it will read the second sheet. So if you do not mention any sheet name, it will by default read the first working sheet. Thank you. In the next video, we will dive deeper into the data manipulation and analysis using Pandas.